Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Homayoon TV, where it's all about music. So you've got a brand new project on your plate and the deadline is not that far away. You're excited and want to start right away, but in this video I will tell you the reason why you should make a pre-composition draft before even you lay down one single note for your composition. And also, what in the world is a pre-composition draft and how to make one. A pre-composition draft is simply a booklet that includes ideas, inspiration texts, diagrams, photos, and even musical notes. This booklet should be best filled with all of this information before you start composing the actual piece. For smaller pieces, it can be just a couple of pages, but for bigger projects, can be up to a book. And it is really up to you how much you want to write in your draft or booklet, so there's no rule here. Now, the reason I say that the pre-composition draft should be made before composing is because of a certain creative freedom and space that it gives you prior to the actual composition. When making the pre-composition draft, there are no rules, no judgment, and most importantly, no strict timing regarding musical materials such as form, structure. It is just a playground where we write down our inspirations. And the thing is that the moment you start to put down the first note on the paper or your notation software, this atmosphere will change and it will shift to another creative space around you and also in your brain, where the rules such as timing, engraving, etc. are naturally applied. Just to make something clear, when I say rules, is a bit like this. Imagine if you are directly creating your composition, you are thinking about the timing of your piece and, for example, how fast or slow your tempo is, or how long your themes are, and frankly, this is a limitation, and it makes sense, right? Because the composition is the culmination of your imagination. But when you are in the pre-composing phase, you are free to just write down your inspirations without any extra calculation. So in general, we want to exploit the pre-composition phase as much as possible before starting the composition phase. Okay, so now let's talk about the pre-composition phase. First and most important thing is that to keep your mind free, playful, and without judgment. The closest mindset would be the mind of children. They are curious to learn and to discover without any prior thought. Second, buy a notebook with or without lines to write text. I usually just have blank papers without any lines, and if I want, I would just cut out some sheet music and glue it there, or I would just draw 5 lines and then use them as my staff. So by buying and associating a notebook for your pre-composing, this gives your mind a certain freedom that you can write anything at any time in your booklet to use as inspiration, even when you are walking in the park or watching a film. So that was the preparation and mindset. Now, what to actually write in our booklet, or how can we utilize this pre-composing phase to have the maximum benefits of the space? 5 important steps: listen, look, learn, draw, and write. First is to listen to anything around you actively. Even if it's unrelated to your project, it can be music in a film or just a bird singing while there is a mild traffic jam in your neighborhood. And by active listening, I mean with an analytical mind. Because you never know, maybe an inspiring music or sound just pops in your life. And of course, it's not possible to always listen actively and can be quite tiring, but do it as an assignment for your pre-composing. For example, while walking in nature, or even when you are going to the supermarket. Listen to the sound of the ventilations, fans, the buzz of the refrigerations. Do they have harmony? Is there a certain rhythm present, or is it only noise? Sometimes you might even get a cool orchestration idea from the sound of a bus or train braking in their track. The point of active listening is also about searching and listening to different styles of music. And again, they can be related or even unrelated to your composition style and musical language. That is why I say you should keep an open mind and just be curious. An example would be this type of bass synth from the 80s. That I used as inspiration for a section of A Piece of Mind which I composed a few years back. Now, the fun thing is that when you write ideas in your booklet, it is literally your own language. Maybe they are drawings, text in English, or your native language. Anything literally in any way is possible. That is why I said there are no rules. Now let's talk about looking. Again, literally looking, but with awareness and mindfulness. Looking can be checking out scores, and not to mention that looking and reading a score while listening to it is a completely different experience than to just listening to it without the score. So for sure, do both if you are analyzing pieces. Or you might be watching a movie at home. Put your booklet next to you. You never know when you might see an interesting scene, a certain cut, or a camera work that is just pure magic and might boost your imagination or drive your inspiration. Always remember, whatever comes in your mind, write it down immediately, because the funny thing with our brain is that in whatever magical ways ideas just pop in our head, they will disappear as fast as they come. Now let's talk about the third step, which is learning. This is when you can explore various musical languages, harmonies, scales, modes, and reading scores is also quite beneficial, which is now way more analytical than when you are also listening to them. And in general, try to explore outside your knowledge and even your comfort zone. And also, one other thing that is very inspiring to me is taking a look at contemporary notation of different instruments. Get some of these orchestration books or contemporary notation books. It's actually a bit like a dictionary of inspiration. The fourth step is to draw. This is one of the things I really like to do when I make my own drafts, as you are completely free to do anything you want. For example, you can make a texture of your piece regarding the accompaniment and melody. Or you can draw some graphs for the way you want to have your instrumentation or orchestration. Or even make a timeline graph to visualize what can happen, where's the lowest and highest point of energy, etc., etc. Basically, you can draw anything, and since there are no rules here, you can be as creative as you want. And the last one is to simply write things down. Stories, ideas, notations, melody, literally anything. Maybe your piece has a concept or is based on a story. You can now write it down. And it can also be a memory that inspired you, a quote, a poem, or something cool your friend said. There is no order for these steps that I told you, and the good thing is that after you are satisfied with your draft, you can still continue to fill your booklet even while you're composing, since you never know when a nice idea or inspiration might come to your mind. And you know how many times when we compose or produce with a lot of inspiration in the beginning, however, after a while we sometimes start to doubt our composition, and maybe even it goes up to a point that we want to start all over. This is the moment that your composition draft will be your anchor, which you can always rely on, since you have already put a considerable amount of time on the backbones of your composition and your projects, from structure to concept to melody, forms, etc., etc. And believe me, this will save you many hours of time and frustration, and it will also boost your creativity, as you can always go back to them for your other project. There you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as usual, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. And till next time,